Hello, and welcome to Bella's Story World. Today, I invite you to a captivating story that reveals how justice was served in a small town. If you're ready, let's begin. On a cool summer evening in the small coastal town of Veltoria, the sunset blended with the sea to create a golden-hued view. The peaceful atmosphere of the town was complemented by children's laughter echoing in the narrow streets and the distant melodies of a street musician's guitar. However, behind this serene picture lay an unspoken tension. The townspeople, a small community where nearly everyone knew each other, were uneasy due to the recent disturbances over the past weeks. Emily Warner, a graceful and strong woman in her early 40s, was once the owner of the town's most renowned art gallery. In recent years, she had handed over her business to spend more time with her family. That evening, she had come down to the beach for her usual walk. As always, Emily stood out with her elegant hat and a light scarf around her neck. The calm and confidence she had gained over the years were reflected in her stride. After getting a cup of coffee from a cafe near the waterfront, she walked toward an old pier. The gentle breeze from the pier touched her face as she took out her phone to check a few messages from her children. Just then, two young police officers approached her. When Emily noticed them, she could see the tension on their faces. "Good evening, ma'am," said one of the officers, wearing a name tag that identified him as Devin. The other officer, younger and less experienced looking, stood silently. "Good evening," Emily replied, her tone calm yet curious. Devin, trying to remain polite, spoke with a certain heaviness in his voice. "We've received reports about suspicious activity in this area. We need to ask you a few questions." Emily was taken aback. "Suspicious activity? I'm just taking a walk. Why are you questioning me?" Luke, the younger officer, stepped forward as if to speak, but was stopped by Devin. "Ma'am, may I see your ID?" Devin asked. Feeling the question was unnecessary, Emily took out her wallet and handed him her ID. "Here you go." "But I don't understand why you stopped me," she said, still calm but more cautious. Devin examined the ID and handed it back. "Ma'am, there have been a series of thefts in this area recently. Witnesses described someone matching your description." Emily couldn't help but smile faintly in disbelief. "This can't be serious. I live here. I take this same walk every day." Devin took a step closer. "Ma'am, we'll need to ask you a few more questions and possibly search you." Emily's unease grew. "What? Search me? This is ridiculous. I haven't done anything wrong." Luke murmured, "Maybe there's another way to handle this," but Devin was resolute. "Ma'am, please don't resist. This is protocol." Emily, holding her composure but growing angrier, replied, "This is completely unreasonable. If you insist on a search, you'll need to talk to my lawyer." But Devin didn't back down. Meanwhile, a group of tourists had gathered near the pier, watching the scene with curiosity. As the tension escalated, Emily considered whom she could contact to resolve the situation. Taking out her phone, she called her closest friend, Clara Lewis, who also happened to be the town's deputy mayor. Clara answered quickly. "Clara, I'm in an urgent situation. I'm on the beach, and two officers want to search me. Can you come here immediately?" Emily said, her voice trembling. Clara sprang into action upon hearing this. "I'll be there in 5 minutes. Don't do anything until I arrive," she said firmly. When Emily ended the call, Devin said, "If you think calling someone will change this situation, you're mistaken." But there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice. Emily stared at him and replied, "We'll see about that." Within 5 minutes, Clara arrived in an official vehicle. The tourists and townspeople, who had been observing the event, now watched with greater interest. Clara marched toward Emily as soon as she stepped out of the car, her eyes blazing with anger. "What's going on here?" she demanded, glaring at Devon and Luke. Devon quickly shifted to a defensive tone. "Ma'am, we've received reports and are following procedure." Clara's voice turned sharp. "Procedure does not include harassing a citizen without evidence. I believe I know this town's rules better than you do." Before Devon could respond, Clara continued, "You will leave Emily alone now, and I will report this incident to the authorities immediately. No one, especially a respected member of this community, deserves to be treated this way." Luke lowered his head in guilt, while Devon stepped back silently. Clara turned to Emily and asked, "Are you all right?" Emily nodded. "For now, but this is unacceptable." Clara shot Devon a stern look before taking out her phone to call the police chief. "Chief Adams, there's a serious issue on the beach. 2 officers have unjustly harassed Emily Warner. I want this resolved immediately," she said. Within minutes, Chief Adams arrived at the scene. After hearing what had happened, he pulled Devon and Luke aside for a brief talk. Then, he apologized to Emily. "Emily, I'm deeply sorry for this. The behavior of these officers is unacceptable, and I'll ensure appropriate actions are taken." Emily nodded. "Thank you, but something needs to be done to prevent this from happening to others." Under the watchful eyes of tourists and townsfolk, the officers were escorted away. As Emily and Clara left together, whispers spread among the crowd. That evening, everyone was talking about the incident. Once again, the hidden tension beneath Veltoria's peaceful surface had come to light. Yet, thanks to Emily, Clara, and their courage, justice had been served once more. While reading this story, I was reminded once again of how important justice and solidarity are. Emily and Clara's courage showed the value of standing up for someone in need. I hope this story evokes similar feelings in you and inspires all of us to perform even a small act of kindness. Remember, even a little support can make a big difference. Thank you for listening to this story. On Bella's Story World, there's always more to explore. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories. See you next time.